Welcome, my friends, to the Horror Syndicate's Werewolf Wednesday show. The purpose of this show is to shine a light on and talk about every single werewolf movie out there. There are more than you would think, and I'm going to talk about them all throughout the course of this show. I'm going to talk about the great, the good, and the bad eventually. Tonight I am talking about the 2014 film WolfCop, which was written and directed by Lowell Dean. Um, this is a movie that, uh, from what I have gathered, is either a movie that people really enjoy or really just don't like at all. Um, but I am going to be talking about this tonight, and I'll let you know which side I am on. Um, just to get this out there, it's been kind of a rough week, and I had not done much preparing for tonight's show, so I don't have. Uh, I didn't come up with my scores through the 10-point categories that I normally do, but I'll give you a rough score of off the top of my head of what I think of this film. So the film is about a alcoholic loser cop named Lou Guru. He's a sheriff's deputy, not very good at his job, and he pretty much drinks from the moment he wakes up to the moment he passes out. And he is a sheriff's deputy in a town called Woodhaven. Uh, and basically, what happens is that he is sent out to investigate a noise complaint. He finds uh, a man who is running for mayor of Woodhaven, uh, who is strung up in the woods. He is knocked out, and when he wakes up, he finds that he has a pentagram carved into his chest, and and of course he gets told that the man running for mayor has been found dead. Uh, his neck has been torn apart, but he's got needle marks all over in his arm, so they think that it was an overdose and that an animal got to him. That's the story that they're running with. And as things progress, Lou eventually uh, becomes a werewolf, and he finds out that he is uh, he is part of a bigger picture in which, I guess, kind of going into spoiler territory a little bit here, but basically there are three shapeshifters, three changelings that basically run the town, and every 32 years there is a ritual in which a innocent person is sacrificed, and another person who is basically the village idiot is turned into a werewolf, and then the shapeshifters uh, kill the werewolf to take the blood and to crystallize it, and then it just keeps them alive, immortal. And but because of Lou's alcoholism, he just happens to be a little bit stronger than any of the previous people who have been turned into a werewolf. So that's basically the story of it. This is very much a B movie, in every sense of the word. Um, it's a film that knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to pretend to be anything that it's not. Um, and it is a horror comedy, for sure. And I think, you know, as I've said here before, I think when I covered Scream of the Wolf, aka Wolf Manor, Horror comedies, particularly when it comes to werewolves, are not really my thing. I prefer the more serious side of werewolf stories. However, I think this one does have some legitimately funny stuff in it, and what a what writer director Lowell Dean goes for in this, it works for this particular film. So while I understand this film isn't for everyone, and typically this type of film wouldn't be necessarily for me, I do think this is a really fun B movie. I enjoy it. I understand why people don't. But I rewatched it the other night, and I had a good time watching it. I dig the mythology that's established in here first and foremost. Like I really dig uh, the whole basic plot of the three shapeshifters and this ritual and how they create a werewolf so they can get its blood and uh, uh, then they can remain immortal. Um, so I really dig that part of it. Uh, as far as like the werewolf design, so this is your, you know, more wolfman type, which again, as I mentioned before on these shows, not my favorite type of werewolf. However, um, I do like this type. Just it's not my preferred uh, my preferred brand of werewolf, but it's much better than the god awful lazy approach that some filmmakers use, where it's just a normal looking person but with fangs and uh, uh, a little bit of extra hair and all that. I think the werewolf, the makeup effects actually look pretty damn good. I actually think this is good makeup effects, and overall, I think the design is pretty good. Um, I would say, actually, in general, the effects in this movie are damn good. The transformation that is something else. Um, I think I could probably go the rest of my life without seeing someone's dick transform. But I think in general, this is the type of transformation where the person rips off their flesh and the wolf is underneath, so it's like a constant shredding of flesh. It's pretty neat to see. We've seen that in stuff like Van Helsing. They did that in one of my favorite werewolf films, Late Phases. Um, I kind of dig it. It's I'm more traditional in terms of, I like the transformations of like American Wolf in London or the Howlin' the best, but I think this one is it's grotesque and it's a it's just good effects work. Um, Now, as far as the acting goes, I mean, I like everyone in this movie. So, uh, first and foremost, we have Leo Fafard as Sheriff Deputy Lou Guru. Ha ha. Uh, Pretty obvious name. It's funny because last week I covered Full Eclipse, and uh, the Bruce Payne's character in that, his last name was Guru, and then Mario Van Peebles' character, his last name was Dyer, Dire, like Dire Wolf, kind of like on the nose type of stuff. But regardless, I like Leo Fafard as this character. He totally plays this slacker, loser cop. I think he plays it well, and then he's equally fun when he is transformed into the WolfCop. The supporting cast, I didn't do a whole lot of preparing for this episode tonight due to the week that I've had. However, I do like everyone here. So yeah, so I think this is a fun B movie. Um, it's not really one that I think there's like a whole lot to say about it. Again, I actually dig the story. It's weird to say that you like the story of a film called Wolf Cop, but I think the story works for this, and because of the story, um, I think the tone of the film works pretty well. I mean, the idea of this character Lou becoming a werewolf, and the wolf cop is because he is a loser, because he is an alcoholic, and that's why he was chosen, and so that's the character we follow. Um, yeah, I think it's a weird, fun movie. I think it's got a fun premise to it. I like the cast for the most part. I think the makeup effects are really good. Uh, Not only with the werewolf, but just with the gore in general. Um, I see that I there was a picture that I thought I downloaded, but it didn't upload here. Um, but uh, One of my favorite things in this movie, there's a scene where uh, Wolf Cop and his friend, um, they they go out after Lou transforms into a werewolf for the first time, or for the second time, and there's like this meth operation in a barn, and there's this one thug that comes after Wolf Cop, and Wolf Cop rips off his face, and he turns around and he like screams, and then you see Wolf Cop's buddy react to that. Um, that's like my favorite scene in the film. I thought that was pretty good. I think for the most part, this movie works. Now, I think I would say that the setup is better than the payoff. I think the setup is actually really damn good. But then after Wolf Cop goes out for the first time, or for the second, or during his second transformation, when he goes out as Wolf Cop, he redoes his car or whatever. After the whole meth lab thing, the movie kind of does go a little downhill from there. There is obviously that really weird scene in which there's like a sex scene between uh, Wolf Cop and a woman who actually turns out to be one of the shapeshifters. Um, Bizarre scene. It's played for laughs, I think. But yeah, so I can understand why certain people don't enjoy this film as much, but I think it's fun. Um, I wish I was a little bit more prepared. I wish I had a little bit more to say about this, but I mean, what do you guys think? Are you on the side that you like Wolf Cop, or are you one of the people who just doesn't like it? Uh, just let me know in the comments. So if I was to give this a score, I'd probably give it uh, like a 70, um, 70 out of 100. I think that is a fair score here. Obviously, it is. Um, it's like intentionally cheesy. It's intentionally bad in a lot of ways. It's the film is what it is by design. Um, but I think generally speaking, it's actually well made, as far as like it's well shot, it's well put together. It looks and feels like a real movie. I've seen a lot of shitty werewolf films from amateur filmmakers, and I think Lowell Dean is actually good at what he does here. Um, so I think it's fun. I'm gonna just jump in the comments. This is gonna be a shorter show than normal, but I'll jump into some of the comments here and just let me know what you think of Wolf Cop. Is there anything about Wolf Cop that you like? Anything about it that you dislike? What is your favorite scene? Do you have a favorite character? Um, Let me know. So Sean Sheridan, Irish Sean, says, unrelated. I went to bed before the stream ended. Oh, it must be talking about last night. But I don't have kids, but I can imagine the horror of someone go through losing a child. So I appreciate the power of that story from Pet Cemetery. Yeah, absolutely. And it was like Ray and I mentioned last night when we were talking about Pet Cemetery. Uh, it's it, it's not a film that bothered either of us before we became parents, but then after you become a parent, it kind of changes a little bit, I guess. And what's the story with '90s horror? I accept slim pickings compared to the '80s, especially until Scream, but there is some good stuff there. I think there is some good stuff there. I think when it comes to the '90s, I don't think it's as doom and gloom as a lot of people make it out to be. I think there's a lot of really good horror films from the '90s. It's just it wasn't the '80s. Um, the slasher boom kind of died out. The big franchises were kind of dying out, but we've got plenty of other good stuff and starts of other things. So, 90s is, of course, Child's Play was in the '80s, but Child's Play 2 and 3, '90s, of course, Scream. You got Event Horizon, In the Mouth of Madness. Um, there's just tons of stuff from the '90s that I think is really good. I think the '90s is sort of it's looked down upon, and I think there is this false narrative that there's not many good horror films from the '90s. I kind of disagree. I think towards the of course towards the the mid to late '90s, because of Scream and everything becoming more like Scream, particularly the big franchise films like you know Bride of Chucky was very meta, self-referential. Um, Halloween H2O tried it. Hellraiser even tried it with Hellworld, which sucked. The films that tried to imitate Kevin Williamson and Scream, those weren't so good. But there's a lot of there's still a lot of great stuff from the '90s. I don't know if I mentioned Candyman, but that's like one of the best horror films. So there's that. Child's Play 2, Misery, and Who Eat the Last Summer. Definitely Misery. Absolutely Misery. I love Child's Play 2. That's my favorite Child's Play. I know he did last summer. I think it's fine. Not overly huge on that, but I think it's a fine film. Uh, Wes Craven's a Nightmare, yeah. The Frighteners, Exorcist 3. Lots of good stuff. Yeah, especially Exorcist 3. That's my favorite Exorcist film. As for Wolf Cop, I tried watching it, didn't like it. Yeah, that's the thing with Wolf Cop. It's either people like it or they don't. It's a film that, again, as I mentioned before, it is what it is. It's it's intentionally uh, it's intentionally a B movie, and it goes for some wild stuff in it. Uh, but yeah, I mean, at least she gave it a shot. Can you say like what you didn't like about it? Was it the tone? Was it the Did the comedy not work for you? Was it a little too cheesy for you? Let me know, man. Dakota, tune in. I don't know what that means, but thank you for tuning in. Uh, Horror comedy having no sense of humor, not for me. Dramatic comedy is my thing. Drama in particular is my thing. Okay. Um, so I thought I see. I think Wolf Cop does have a sense of humor. It's just like you know, I don't want to say it's quite shock value, although it does kind of go for that. But I think there's some decent humor in Wolf Cop, at least for me. Um, CT says, "Hey Seth, this should be a fun Werewolf Wednesday. This is a fun movie." Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to remember of like I think there was a little bit of hype when I first watched it. Like I saw some stuff and just people talking about WolfCop because it was like this campy, fun B movie werewolf film, and it didn't disappoint for me. Um, I enjoy the film for what it is. It's not. Uh, I'm not quite sure where it actually ranks on my ranking list, but it's not in the top spots. But yeah, I think uh, Wolf Cop is kind of just a fun, goofy ride, and I dig it. And I meant to say last night on the favorite movies, Batman, while I prefer The Dark Knight, I much prefer Jack Nicholson as Joker. Fair enough, my friend. I see Heath Ledger, I like it. As the Joker, I see a terrorist with clown makeup. I see Nicholson, I see the accomplice of crime who is a complete psychopath. That's true. I did like the design. I will give it that. Yeah, I think the design is not bad. And again, I think the makeup effects are actually pretty good. Uh, Still my favorite movie of the year, Wolfman, but I have seen nothing, so take that into account. Yeah, so I'm kind of like behind myself on like 2025 horror. I've seen Wolfman, and I saw another film called Night of the Werewolves, which is more of like an anthology film. I rented it from Amazon Prime. I think it was like $3.99 to rent, um, and it was okay. But other than those two, I haven't seen many werewolf films. I heard Hard Eyes is pretty good. I've heard of some other things that were pretty good. I gotta kind of get my butt into gear uh, on that. But Wolfman, I have to give it another watch because I did not like it. But um, yeah, eventually I'm gonna do a show on that, and then we'll have to have a deep conversation about it. I think it's because I'm not a diehard fan of werewolf movies. I enjoyed The Wolfman for what it was. That's a fair point. I mean, Lee Winnall did take chances. He did try to do something unique and different. And maybe it is because I am such a werewolf fan. I am such a huge fan of the George Wagner, Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman film from 1941, and I'm also a huge fan and defender of the 2010 Wolfman remake from Joe Johnston and Benicio del Toro. So maybe it's just sort of like a me problem as far as like my love for the brand. Um, I I am gonna give it another shot. I don't know it's gonna change my mind, but I will give it another shot. I haven't seen it or the second one, but I want Alan not to remake another sequel. Okay. A couple things here. You haven't seen Wolf Cup? Uh, is that what you're saying there, or the second one? I think you should definitely check them out. Uh, they're fun. They're you know they they go places you wouldn't expect as far as like the humor. But definitely check them out and then let me know what you think. And I am 100% with you on Howlin' 9. I want another Howlin' film, and definitely not a remake. Because, as I've said before, uh, the the Howlin', which is based on uh, a trilogy of books from Gary Brandner, the first book was already adapted twice, loosely both times with the Joe Dante film, and then again with Howlin' 4, the original Nightmare, with Howlin' 4 being closer to the novel than Joe Dante's film. However, quality-wise, not as good. But the as much as I love Gary Brandner's first book, it is kind of very slow, and with the book being sort of like presented as like Karen and her friend trying to figure out who is the werewolf of Drago, and then coming to the realization that it's not just a werewolf, but it's the whole town. Like once you know that, it just kind of makes uh, that unraveling mystery meaningless. I think audiences, would already know that it's going to be a community of werewolves rather than just one. So, and not to mention the second and third book from Gary Brandner, they have not been adapted. A lot of the, not all of them, but a lot of the sequels for the Howlin' franchise will say based on the Howlin' 1, 2, and 3 by Gary Brandner, and that's a lie. There is like no adaptation of the second story, and definitely no adaptation of the third one. So I would love to see them take on one of those two stories. Now that they did the Howlin' 2, um, uh, might be a little tough because in the first book, Karen lives. She doesn't. The whole thing at the end of the first film with uh, that version of Karen becoming a werewolf and transforming live on TV, that didn't happen in the book. And so the second book is a continuation with Karen. Um, so that one might be a little more difficult without going back to the first. However, the third book is it is directly connected um, to a certain degree, but there's different characters, and it's about, well, there is like this kid who is a werewolf from Drago who uh, is kind of like lost out in the wilderness because of the fire, and yada yada. I'll be talking about the Howland books in like September or October. But yes, I am 100% with you on that. You can skip my comment. He off topic. Is you talking about the Dakota tune in? Yes, that one. Is that what you're talking about? So yeah. Are you doing anything for 90s horror? I accept. Uh, I don't know. I haven't really talked to Ray. We talked briefly after the show that we did last night, but we haven't really kind of got anything uh, in nothing's set in stone as far as what we're gonna do. I think we should do something for 90s horror. We probably, I don't know about going every year from 1990 to 99, but probably like a top 20 or 25 of the 90s. I think that'd be kind of a fun one to do. But I'll let you know, or we'll let you know. The 90s has a lot of gems and so many guilty pleasures. Yes, I think so. I think the 90s isn't bad. Um, there's some, crappy stuff again once the genre started changing to try to mimic Scream. That's when it kind of fell apart. But I mean, there's still a lot of great stuff that didn't do that. That just kind of gets overlooked. Sean says, I didn't like the tone. Horror comedy, not really my thing. That is understandable. That is understandable. That's typically a problem I have with, especially with werewolf films. When I see stuff like, okay, so, I mean, I do like Scream of the Wolf, aka Wolf Manor, and I do like this other film called Wolf Hollow. But they were both from 2023. But they tried to force in comedy, but not good comedy. A lot of like references to other films, a lot of just really dumb humor. Didn't really work for me. There are some decent ones, I don't hate Teen Wolf. It's just not my preferred werewolves. When I think of werewolves, I think werewolves are savage creatures, right? They're supposed to be terrifying. Um, and so I prefer the more serious side. Now, there are some exceptions, of course. Now, one of the things I have argued against for a very long time now is American Werewolf in London. Like, it's my favorite horror film of all time. It drives me nuts when people call it a horror comedy because I don't see American Werewolf in London as a horror comedy. I think it's a horror film that has some comedic elements to it, and that's that. WolfCop, I think, is an exception just because um, I think it's 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 just fun. It's again not in my top 20. I don't. It's probably my top 30, but you know, it's not one of my favorite werewolf films, but it is one that I do enjoy anytime I do rewatch it. I don't know if that makes any sense. I meant I have no sense of humor. Uh, Fair enough. Fair enough. Uh, uh, my friend Dakota is a big fan of Wolf Cop. Was trying to tag him to watch this live. Oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Cause I would love to hear. I would definitely love to hear like what other people love about Wolf Cop. Um, Especially given um, how there is either the side of like or the side of dislike. Um, but yeah, if you can get your friend to watch, that'd be great. I would love to to read the comments. Skywalker says, "Hi Seth, how you doing today, my friend? Sorry, I've been quite busy lately." Yeah, no problem. I hear that, dude. I hear that. It's been a long week already, and it's only Wednesday. Um, so I totally understand, my friend. But thanks for tuning in. What do you think of Wolf Cop? Have you seen it? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Which side are you on? In other news, I found a Fog remake. Good old Tubi and VPN. It's bad, but I didn't hate it. Couple of good kills, a generic early 2000s horror movie I won't watch again. So yeah, the Fog remake. I haven't seen that since it came out in theaters. It's not a very good film. Um, I just didn't like what they did with it. Uh, I can't say that I completely hate it because I don't remember it. It's got uh, Tom Welling in it from Smallville, so there's that. Um, I think it had an okay cast if I remember correctly, but yeah, I just didn't like that film at all. I do kind of want to rewatch it just to kind of refresh my memory on it, but we'll see. Um, if they do another Wolfman movie, what are the chances they'll do the Lon Chaney 19? I think I'm at 41 instead of the remake 2010. Uh, I I don't know. Uh, I don't know if we'll ever get another, you know, Wolfman film. Basically, both attempts to revive it have not done well. So the 2010 film didn't do well in theaters either, and this new one that just came out didn't do well. Uh, so I don't know. I'm not sure, my friend. Uh, but it's not the unwatchable trash pile people make it out because I like, but never loved the Fog like most do. I don't find the remake nearly as bad. Yeah, so like for me, John Carpenter's The Fog is my second favorite John Carpenter film out of this entire filmography. It is the film that made me a fan of uh, John Carpenter and made me kind of like look into his entire filmography. So Um, I have a deep love for Carpenter's The Fog, so for me, I think it is, the remake that they did was awful, but I guess I could see your point. If you're not really attached to the original, the remake was inoffensive. I'm assuming that's what you're saying, right? Do you consider werewolf films killer animal movies? Yeah, why not? How cool would it be if they had a were lion, were tiger, were shark, were panther, or were fox? I mean, they could, right? They could do um, do other types of shapeshifters, rougarous, whatever. Um, it'd be kind of cool to see. Would you call the lizard or Killer Croc from Spider-Man and Batman a were animal? Um, to a certain degree. I mean, why not? It's the same kind of principle, right? Uh, Kurt Connors um, does an experiment on himself, which causes him to turn into the lizard. There are werewolf films where science was involved with it. Uh, the Werewolf from 1956, and I was a teenage werewolf from 1957. I might have got the years mixed up on those two, um, but both of those, there's science involved with how the characters become the werewolf, and there's other examples too. So um, it's very possible that I guess you could consider them in that where category, I guess. Uh, love the Howlin' 4 movie, a sequel, but a remake at the same time. Yeah, so Howlin' 4, um, I have a thing with Howlin' 4 where, because I do go back to Gary Banner's books a lot. I have all three books paperback, and then I have them audiobook as well on my Audible account. And basically, when I'm at work, I listen to stuff. So anytime I put on like the audiobook at work, or if I read the paperback that I have, like as soon as I'm done with the first book, I go for the Howlin' 4 instead of the Joe Dante film, because the Howlin' 4 is closer to the book. Um, and I think they did, you know, they used the opportunity to do it as a sequel instead of straight up remake. So they changed some stuff around, right? You're not doing the story of Karen, but of an author with quite the imagination. But yeah, I mean, Helen Four, I give a lot of leeway to because of my love for the first book, and I do go for that often after uh, rereading or re-listening to the audiobook of it. Have you read the books at all, Jordan? Let me know. Oh, there we go. I probably should have looked at the comments before I asked that question. Haven't read the Helen books or comics. Would like to. Thanks for sharing some details on the books. Yes, I definitely highly recommend the Helen trilogy. Uh, yeah, I did I did an article on the horsesyndicate.com where I kind of like really summarized the three books, but I would definitely just recommend reading them. You can get the paperback copies. Actually, the I have them. They're way over there, so I'm not going to grab them. But all three covers, like they can connect together, which is cool. And or if you have Audible, all three of the all three of Gary Brandner's Howland books are available through Audible. So give them a chance, and then let me know. For horror 90s, can you talk about Scream 1 and Bad Moon? Yes, Bad Moon. I fucking love Bad Moon. American Wolf in Paris, The Ghost in the Darkness, good one. Killer Lion movie, Deep Blue Sea, and Lake Placid. Yeah, we'll, Ray and I will get together and we'll talk about what we'll do for the 90s. Right now, as far as I know, like topics are up in the air, but we're due for a conversation soon anyway. So um, I would love to see a fight between a werelion and a weretiger. Yeah. Did you say if you were anything with 90s horror? I asked because my internet cut out. I missed a bit. Uh, yeah. So basically, what I was saying was that I think the 90s horror, 90s were the nowhere near as bad as people kind of make it seem. I think there's a lot of good stuff from the 90s. Um, Again, I don't know if when Ray and I will get to the 90s, but we probably will do something with the 90s. We're probably not going to do, year by year like we did with the 80s, but we'll probably do like a top 20 or 25 horror films of the 90s and kind of do that type of list. But yeah. The Fog is top 10 cover movie for me, but I need to rewatch a lot of his movies to nail my ranking. You should. And I'm curious of your ranking. Yeah, it's funny because everyone's rankings are different, but um, I dared during my Carpenter filmography ranking to not put Halloween or The Thing at 1 or 2, and I feel like I get shit for that. The Thing, Christine, Halloween are 5-star movies for me. In the Mouth of Madness, 2, that's a movie I didn't like the first time. Watched it the second time, love it. Glad to hear In the Mouth of Madness is my favorite John Carpenter film. Um, People look at me funny for saying that, but I love it. To be clear, the Fog remake is a 2 out of 5 movie. That's a bad movie, but it's not the worst thing ever. Yeah, I will. I will give it another. I'll give it another watch. But again, like it's sort of like the Wolfman for me, where I'm so attached to the original. I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna be as open as you are towards it. Um, how about an episode of horror remakes better than the original? Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake is a clear winner. Oh yeah, Ray will love that. Uh, we are going to be doing something about horror remakes. I think Sunday, so look out for that on Sunday. Um, yeah. So anyway, WolfCop. Thoughts on WolfCop? Um, Let me know what you think. Uh, I think it's fun, man. I think it's a fun B movie. I like the cast. I like the lore that they establish in it. The reason why things are happening. I think it all works and makes sense. Um, I think the humor works for this movie. Um, there's some crazy stuff. The sex scene is something else. The first transformation when you see his dong transform, that was something else. But yeah, I think there's I don't know, just a fun little B movie. Um, I wish I had more to say about it, but I don't. Next week, I will be covering the sequel, another Wolf Cop, which I've only seen once. So I am looking forward to rewatching that, and I should have a lot more to say about that. I'll be, I'll try to be prepared and have my notes with me for that one. But didn't do it with this one, even though I watched this the other night. Um, Let me just take down this image. I do like this scene though when they find the face. Like, hey, it looks like you. Um, Kind of funny. Uh, and CT is doing some laugh emojis. Uh, yeah. CT, what do you think of Wolf Cop? I don't think you. I know you commented above, but I don't think you mentioned. Oh yes, you did. You mentioned that this is a fun movie. Um, yeah. So where would it rank for you as far as werewolf films? Is it one of your favorites, or is it sort of like middle of the list? I'm just very curious about that. Yeah. And does anyone else have anything to say about Wolf Cop? Because that is the main topic. Uh, you know, this I know like Ray mentioned that he didn't really care for it, but it's been a while since he's seen it, so um, I think it was the humor that didn't work for him either. The humor is a hit or miss with people. Um, but the film is what it is. It's called Wolf Cop. It's promoted uh, and basically shot like it's a like a B movie. I mean, I actually really like this poster. I think it's cool. Uh, so yeah, that is Wolf Cop. If no one else has anything else to say, I'm probably gonna head out in a bit. Um, yeah. Uh, Sorry for not being so prepared. Um, oh, here we go. Definitely middle of the list, but to be fair, there's some good werewolf films. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where I'm at too. Actually, hold on, I got my thing right here. Skim through all my papers here. Trying to see where I put. So I have my list of 125. I got way more than that now. Which I gotta finish this article. I kind of like fell into a little slump of depression for like 2 weeks. Um, but on medication now, so hopefully that's all done with. Yeah, I got Wolf Cop at number 30. So I have Wolf Cop ranked at 30 on a list of 125. That's actually not too bad. Um, Again, I think um, not a perfect film by any means. Certainly flawed. I think the first half is stronger than the second half, but I think it's fun. I think your rating of 70 was fair. Yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think that's a fair rating. Um, and again, it's not like it's not a film that I even rewatch a lot. I've seen it a few times now. I think I watched it a couple times, like when I first got the Blu-ray, but um, I haven't rewatched it since another Wolf Cop came out, and I think I got that one. I know another Wolf Cop came out in 2017, but I feel like the Blu-ray wasn't available until like 2018. I could be wrong on that. I think it's been since 2018. I think that was the last time I actually watched both Wolf Cop films. And yeah, just rewatching it the other night, I was just sitting in my chair and I was just like, you know what, this is a fun movie. It's fine. Um, yeah. Uh, there was something that I wanted to mention when I was watching it. I was going to bring it up, but I forgot. And of course, I didn't uh, come up with a list of notes like I planned. But anyway, so that is that. yeah, there's no more comments, so I think I am gonna leave. But next week I will be back with another Wolf Cop. Um, I think it. I am looking forward to rewatching that film because I've only seen it the once. I remember it being inferior to the first film, but I remember a couple of funny things from it. But I'll save that for next week. So yeah, this has been the Werewolf Wednesday show. Been talking about Wolf Cop. If you haven't seen them, I believe they're both on Tubi. I linked in the description where you can watch at least the first film on Tubi. Um, I think the second one is too. So yeah. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good night. Thank you for joining me. Thank you to Sean Sheridan, CT. Um, uh, is it Joran or Joe or is it Joran or Jorhan? I don't know how to pronounce your name, my friend. Um, I don't know if there was an easy way to for you to kind of say that uh, to let me know so I can correct myself if I'm wrong. Also, thank you to Scott Walker uh, for also joining in on the comments. Thank you to anyone who actually watches this after the fact of going live. Um, uh, yeah, uh, I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to rewatching another Wolf Cop. That should be fun. And I don't recall what I'm doing. I think I'm going back to another Paul Naschy film after another Wolf Cop, I believe. I need to double check my list. I do have a Werewolf Wednesday topic schedule list. I mapped out the entire year um, of topics for this show, and there's still so much more to talk about after that. So there's a lot of werewolf films. There's more werewolf films I think than a lot of people realize, and I hope to talk about them all. Thank you, everyone who joined. So, oh, have a good night, bro. Good episode. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I feel terrible for coming into tonight and just kind of winging it and not having a whole lot to say on the topic at hand. But thank you. I definitely appreciate that, and uh, hope to see you next week to talk about another Wolf Cop. I will be back with notes. I'll have notes. I'll have my shit together. I say that a lot, don't I? And I never do. But yeah, things have just been crazy. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Have a good night. See you next week.